And amid the tariff war, incoming Prime Minister Mark Carney visited a steel plant in Hamilton, Ontario on Wednesday. Canada is the biggest foreign supplier of steel and aluminium to the United States. The retaliatory tariffs are on top of those on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods Canada initially imposed on March 4th in response to broader tariffs from Trump. And India correspondent Jessica Taneja joins us from New Delhi or more on this. Well, Jessica, with Trump now warning EU on retaliatory tariffs, what impact could this escalating tariff war have on the global trade relations?
If you've seen the reports so far, and the reactions from all the leaders seem to be consistent when it comes to not being able to accept the terms of these tariffs, which we've seen in the past. We've seen a similar tariff imposition in 2018 as well. And of course, it's slightly more different than what we saw in the past, with much more effort and with much more force, trying to cut across concessions when it comes to these tariff wars that have now been initiated just beyond America's borders now, and perhaps the more contentious one being next door with Canada. And with the way the report suggests, and now Mark Carney, the new Canadian Prime Minister at the helm of affairs, would certainly have a lot at hand when it comes to how to deal with this entire escalation of tariffs. And of course, quick policy changes also tend to confuse the markets quite a bit. And you've seen how the markets performed just last week, and even a few days ago, the S&P 500 was down 8%. And if you look at what happened to FTSE 100 as well, it was down 2% just a few days ago. And various indices across the world are not performing well at this point, and stock markets are being affected worldwide. Because of understanding of what the end game, or what really would the tariffs really be able to achieve at the end of it all. Because with the way it's working, it's not only hurting the US economy at this point, although not reaching to the level of recession or contraction. Those reports also emerged, which were, of course, then replied to or responded to by the president, along with his Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, saying that, no, that is not the trajectory the American economy or the global economy would be headed toward. But with the way these tariffs are working, it doesn't seem to position or picture America's way of transaction and trade deals in a light where it would bring in inflation, which it would have an impact on jobs. And the larger question then remains, the entity that you're trying to protect would then be harmed, or with these kind of retaliations, or is it something that this little period of transition, as the Trump administration say, would it continue?
Right, Jessica, the big question remains what the tariffs are going to achieve. And with countries like UK and Australia expressing concerns, how do you anticipate their role in the global trade conflict now evolving? And could we see them taking further action in response to the US tariffs?
Well, there have been various adjustments made to the transatlantic partners and their relationship in the recent past. So it's far too premature to comment on a lot of how this sort of would look at the end. But from what we do know, and the reports suggesting right now, and the reactions that has come from be it the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, or be it Mark Carney, or the European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen, they have pretty much indicated that retaliation is what every leader and every region is pretty much considering. Above all, every country looks after its national interest. Every leader and every political party back home also has to reduce inflation, especially if we talk about the UK. It's been a tough time for the country in the last, a decade or so. They've seen transitions one after another. Political parties and elections take place quite often. The 10 Downing Street has been a revolving door until Keir Starmer won the elections, and also his cabinet is facing a lot of trouble right now when it comes to coming up with economic reforms. And then you have this additional problem of tariffs, which are going on the uptick, and especially the
All right.
sectors of steel and aluminum, which tend to then affect jobs not only in America but worldwide as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jessica, for all those details.